Hi, I'm Arthur, and I'm gonna actually say it. Like, I'm gonna say it for real this time.
He's gonna say it for real.
I've been wanting for so long to say this, and I don't care what flack I get for it, but I think Gundam-style mechs, they're just boring. They bore the hell out of me. I think they all look the same. Japanese mecha designs, aside from like Evangelion and maybe Pat Labor, have never gotten my attention at all. Did you know what has gotten my attention? Goddamn Western mecha designs. You got like Battletech, Titanfall, Robot Jocks, Star Wars. Gotta love a good ATST from time to time. All of them just go so goddamn hard, and I cannot sit here and allow this discussion to go on about Gundam being superior. I don't care if Crackduck says he loves them. Crackduck is like 2 feet tall and has the same weight as like several oranges in a small bag. I could kick a field goal with that football-headed man with my bum leg. Since I have a Wargaming lore channel, I'm gonna do this through the medium of me talking about wargames that I care about, as if there is one thing I like about wargaming, it's that they like big stompy robots. The way I like big stompy robots, which is huge, in charge, and with so many racks of guns on them that it's almost impractical, but only just almost. Low-key, if the mech doesn't look like a tank with legs, I don't care. Regardless, I'm going to use this video to tell you about one of my favorite mech designs and mech categories, and that's going to be the last one we talk about. Probably the best mechs in wargaming, if I'm being completely honest. So, stay tuned if you want to know what those are. But before we do, I want to stop and talk about something kind of cool. It's not exactly a sponsor per se, but I'm officially an affiliate of Fenris Workshop. They are a company here in the eastern side of Canada, and they sell a lot of wargaming stuff, paint products, diorama stuff, GW product, Trench Crusade, one-page rules, and, you know, stuff like that. As to celebrate my collaboration with them, I am gonna be doing a bit of a giveaway. Basically, for people who are both subscribed and comment down below, as well as a few people in the Discord server, you will be put into a random prize giveaway to receive something I think is pretty cool. One Page Rules has finally made their Broken Truth plastic 2-player starter boxes more commonly available than if you just go to conventions. So, we are giving away the starter core set to one of you fellas, with a few of the conditions here being: 1, you have to be in North America, preferably Canada, but we'll figure it out if you're in America. And 2, be subscribed to this channel. And 3, comment down below what your favorite mecha is so that I know that you are, you know, kind of cool with it. And we'll just pick randomly through it. I promise I won't blame you if you're like, ah yes, my favorite is Gundam Unicorn. I don't know if that's the name of the mech from Gundam Unicorn. I haven't watched it because I'm not a big Gundam fan. I think the last Gundam I watched was like Gundam Seed and Gundam Seed Destiny, which I will admit, those are kind of kino. But whatever. You have until the next Friday, and that's when we're going to be deciding it, and I'll contact you through whatever means I possibly can. So yeah, thanks again to Fenris Workshop for making me an affiliate of them and being able to support, you know, Canadian brands more often. And also, thanks to all of you for supporting me in choosing cool robots. Speaking of cool robots, let's get into some honorable and dishonorable mentions. Okay, mostly just one dishonorable mention and one honorable one. For one, if you became a channel member recently, you'll know that I made a video for my Q&A stuff, and that's going to be coming up soon. It's just taking a little bit because there's a lot to do with it. And one of the things that I mentioned in it is I don't like Imperial Knights. Like, I really don't like Imperial Knights. I don't hate them. Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to hate anything. I mean, I think I don't hate them. But I gotta say, every person I've ever played against who used knights was a horrible meta chaser. The knights themselves are always the most boring parts of every book I've ever read. And I don't know, I just feel like they don't hit the niche that I like, where they're so inconvenient looking, where they're not quite just a walking tank with legs, but they're not quite the anime hyper robots. I don't know. I like the Tau mechs more. When I look at them, I feel no joy, no love, nothing. I just want to throw rocks and sticks at them with my Kroot. I especially feel a pang of hatred so bellicose that it would make the hackles on my back rise and my asshole pucker when I see a War Dog on the table across from me. Yes, I did go against the all War Dogs list in 9th edition. No, I did not have fun against it at all. On to the honorable mentions category, and it's not really a wargame, so I'll keep this one a little bit more brief, but Lancer? You know, like Lancer Mechs, kind of fuck so hard I feel like I need a cigarette after looking at their designs. Like, designed by the same dude who did kill 6 billion demons, all of them have such cool designs and are so unique. And also shout out to the legit crazy person who rated all of the mechs on a scale of 1 to 10 based on how easy it would be for them to get in and out of. I don't know, I just think that's really fun. Look at there's a lot of thought that went into this essay here. So let's get into the discussion proper for this video. Here with the first and one of the up-and-comers in my life, Corvus Belli's Infinity. See, I have been doing such a huge deep dive into them that it's genuinely been taking up too much of my goddamn time. But I do quite enjoy them. There are so many books filled with lore that I am progressively losing my sleep and sanity to just reading them so I could understand it. But if there's one thing I gotta say, tags are cool as shit. TAG, being an acronym for Tactically Armored Gear or Tactical Armored Gear, is not exactly as big of a stompy robot as there's going to be on this list, but they pack such an amazingly cool punch that they're one of the biggest selling points of the game, in my opinion, just because I like big robot. Taking the place that's kind of in between both a power armor suit and just a Gundam-style mech. They, in setting, are basically the equivalent of what would be the modern day equivalent of a tank. The reason why they have taken over the whole tank treads thing is because they have the ability to universally travel across any terrain, respond faster, and also have a degree of flexibility, as well as having specialized gyros that allow them to maneuver more easily in zero gravity situations, which, because tanks have treads, and yeah, you could see how that wouldn't be that useful. Regardless, tags are one of those things that in lore or on the tabletop, if you see one deployed, you better have an answer to it, and if you don't, it's not that you lose, because running away is usually an option, but yeah, it's not exactly easy to deal with. Each one having such different specs depending on the faction, that makes it kind of hard to give you an idea of the general use. Like, this is the cutter. I love the cutter. The cutter is, weirdly enough, an aquatic design. It's meant to be submersed and then immediately rapidly approach the enemy during, like, aquatic missions in marine operations. I think that's really cool. Then you have something like the Salamandra, named after the mythical monster, and it is the peak of I don't care what it is, if I hit it, it dies. Though you'd be surprised how many of the lizard-themed tags that the Nomads faction have, and they're all up there as my favorite. Shout out to the iguana, gotta be one of my favorite genders. I do gotta say that my favorite tag in the entirety of the game, it's this rickety pile of actual literal stapled together garbage. The Chernobog. The definition of if you can't be stylish, you can at least be practical. Equipped with as much armor plating as you could duct tape to it, and having the heaviest machine gun and rocket launcher systems available for the barbarians of Ariadna, this thing is a beast, and I love him to death. A little front towards enemy on the front part of it, peak comedy. But that's enough about that. What would a list about giant mechs be if I didn't bring up the king of giant mech battles in the wargaming space, the one, the only, Battletech. I'm not gonna go too in-depth with Battletech because boy howdy, Battletech is just so dense and complicated that I need to add my own thoughts to it in a bigger video. But if you want peak American mecha, Battletech is the game for you. With 3 spice levels, mild, spicy, and incorrect, this game has thousands of mechs and options to throw onto the battlefield for your memeiest or lore-heaviest lists imaginable. The world building for this world could make GW ashamed at their lack of depth, and the fans are so vehement and hateful to anybody on the outside of their fan base that the most unstable of has-been hotel girly would be a bit unnerved. I don't have a lot I need to say about the lore, if you know you know, but I do want to talk about my favorite mech designs, which is all just the weird freaks of Battletech. So yeah, let's just get into like a short list of these and why I like them. Starting off strong, here we have one of my favorite types of mechs personified, aka the Mandrill. I love this thing. It is a light mech, meaning it's way smaller, or at least lighter than it should be, but on the miniature it looks huge. It's meant to basically just sandblast smaller mechs into pieces with a shitload of long-range missiles, which is so funny to think about. But the interesting part is missiles don't really generate as much heat in the game, and heat is a mechanic that you need to, deal with. But even still, it needs heat sinks in order to keep itself from boiling the pilot inside. So why not put them all in a very easily accessible place? The arms. Yeah, no, all of its heat sinks, for the most part, are just in its arms. So just blow off one of its arms and it immediately neuters the thing, which is just good for him. Also, monkeys are cool. Okay, now I have to address the elephant in the room. I have a weird obsession with quad mechs. I know they're terrible, almost all of them. I love them. They are uncommon at best and considered dog ass at worst. Speaking of the scorpion, looking more like your typical house spider-like arachnid than a scorpion, which is funny because the spider is a mech that looks like a man, but either way, the scorpion carries a strong-ass cannon and is meant to be in a position low to the ground and taking precise sniper-like shots from a higher vantage point. But it fell out of favor pretty quickly and for an awesome reason. Apparently, riding this thing feels like you are on a ride at Action Park. Yeah, every mech pilot under the sun decided it was probably the worst they had ever had in terms of stability, thus why the pilots hate owning one. Shout out to the Tarantula, which is supposed to be the Scorpion, but better, but no one trusted it because it looked too much like the Scorpion. On to another quad mech, because of course it's another quad mech. The thing that launched all of this for me was the Goliath. The Goliath is this horrible, tanky, massive dog thing with a lot of guns. It's terrible. It does not turn well, and by God, I have lost games because I have brought 3 of them in a row. But look at him. Don't you dare make fun of my chud son. He is perfect in every way, and I love him. And last but not least, if you know anything about me, Battletech, or just have love in your heart, you will have to give it up for the Urban. The Urban mech is probably what is considered the bottom tier of usable mechs. The only ones that are considered worse are ones that are just genuinely considered awful in every regard. Like, if you meet a career urban pilot, they will always say something to the tune of, I guess it's better than nothing. And because of that, it is stuck in the hearts and minds of everyone around it. The urban mech, as its name implies, is meant for urban centers, which it excels at quite a lot. But the thing is, in any other situation, it's basically just gonna sit and do nothing but die. But in the world of Battletech, having a battle mech is better than having a tank most times, so it's still a good option. I love how cheap they are to play, and I love that you can actually equip them with weapons that are quite literally more expensive than the mech itself. Because why, yes, I do want to put a medium-range missile launcher with 30 tubes that costs about, 3 urbans worth on a single body that is going to do nothing. Fucking give me 20. Oh, and also, they fly now. Battletech is fun, but it does also deserve its own videos. So I'm going to cut it a bit short there and clock it in about, a year from now or some shit. Either way, I have to admit something to you all. I do have a favorite. Above the mechs of every other game, the tags, the battle mechs, the knights or titans, there is one type of mech and design that I love above all else, and that, the humble goddamn duster of the BLKOUT setting. Full disclosure, this video is sponsored by the people of BLKOUT, the ones who created the game, and they asked me to make a video for them to promote it, and I'm always down to do so. But when I asked them what they wanted, they literally said to do whatever you want. So I'm going to spend the next 10 to 20 minutes absolutely glazing the dusters because it is single-handedly my favorite design for mechs in wargaming. There is so much to cover, but I'll give you the brief history here and why they work. Basically, long ago in the setting, before most of humanity had fled Earth for Able, or Mars if you're part of the Boone Task Force and so on, the first of what would become the dusters were created. Advancements in AI created these things called interdiction suites. Basically, small AI piloted robots, usually with weapons mounted on them for ease of use. These allowed small squad tactics to take heavier weapons into areas they normally wouldn't be able to, which is pretty dope and incredibly useful. But using the sciences developed through interdiction suites, like gyros, targeting systems, stuff like that, they were able to create something to kind of be the peak of modern combat, christening them the Mobile Infantry Direct Action System. or Midas for short, was the original duster. Duster was basically a colloquial term, I believe developed on Able, used to describe how they deal with situation, sweeping shit off the land like a dustbuster. But the Midas was only used in limited amounts on Earth, but on Able, oh baby, you will learn to fear them. The original Midas saw production pretty greatly on Able, being the ultimate in force multipliers, being able to be equipped with many different doodads and trinkets with no real major modifications to the chassis or creation of the mech by itself, ranging from new guns to new equipment that would just be mounted onto it, and it being able to maneuver most terrain due to it having, legs and not treads or wheels made it really, really useful for the oftentimes temperamental locations of Able. The Midas has seen many different upgrades into new variants because, for one, it is the first draft, essentially. Thus, when the newest model came out, which to my understanding is the Perrin, it was basically widely coveted by the Authority, which, if you didn't see my video about BLKOUT, the Authority is what eventually the UN decided to rename itself, as they wanted to be the ominous-sounding, but actually kind of benevolent rulers of Able who wish for nothing but peace and order, by their terms only. But the Perrin, although a direct upgrade, making better armor, better systems, better weapons, targeting systems, and I don't know, it's a little vague, but it was just objectively just a better update of it. It eventually did become outdated, as most tech does. So the Authority at the time, coveting all the Perrin and the schematics there, just decided to let other factions have access to it because they have access to better things now, which we will touch upon later. It leads to the modern day of dusters, where there are two classifications that we know about right now, but there's probably way more than just that. It's divided into two weight categories, medium and heavy. Medium dusters are kind of the sole successor of the Midas and the Perrin, aka the Caber, was made to be the third evolution of those two. Being the next evolutionary step of the Perrin, it's relatively light, though still pretty hardy, making it a little bit more ergonomic in terms of how it moves on the battlefield. Its main goal is to try and reenact scenes from Transformers movies, but you're playing the part of Optimus and the poor 140-pound woman who decided to sign up to the MPZ to feed her family with an AK-47. Looks just Decepticon-shaped enough for you to splatter her into a pace on the ground at full force. And might I add, get fucked, Deborah. Yeah, it has a sword. It's pretty strong when fighting other dusters, but if you're dealing with anything that isn't, it comes with an MMG as well. It's pretty great. But stabbing not your thing, there's a modified version of it. It's a variant known as the Aveles. It trades the sword and medium machine gun for a heavy machine gun, and if you run this, you have speed, mild durability as far as dusters go, and a decent ranged weapon. And also, I hate you. I have had my shit blown smooth off quite a few times by this thing, and I will never like seeing it on the table, period. But let's not forget the heavy dusters, for when you want to make sure that bringing the train whistle to the board isn't completely inappropriate. The Mattis is a duster with a 30mm cannon mounted directly on its chassis. But if you don't think that's enough, it has a goddamn powered axe in its hand that it uses as essentially a wedge to rip open heavy armor, which if a 30mm cannon wasn't doing it, the axe is going to definitely drive it home. So if you think that you're tough shit with your duster, yeah, let's see how the Caber goes toe-to-toe with the Mattis. Come on, go ahead. It'd be funny. I promise you. I've totally not done this matchup before. It's really funny. Oh, and much like the Caber, there is a ranged variant for the Mattis known as the Topor. It has a belt-fed MMG instead of the axe, which allows you to have a significantly large amount of DACA, as the 30mm cannon does require a lot of targeting and is actually a little bit harder to set up. So in those turns that you want to actually run and gun, you actually can. And trust me, being able to run and gun with this thing out in the open is not as difficult as you'd expect, because you have the armor to deal with whatever most people can throw at you, outside of someone bringing another heavy duster, or some asshole decided to bring a Harlow engineer with a missile launcher. Yeah, I am that asshole, by the way. I always bring him because he brings these things called crickets, which are mines with legs. I don't know, I think they're cute. With all this glazing, why do I think they are so cool? Why are they the pinnacle for me? It is both easy and incredibly long-winded for me to describe. For one, they're just so well designed. They obviously took design inspiration from Titanfall and also Rip Titanfall, but in general, they are so American and have such a level of practical tactical to them. They are explained pretty interestingly to be better than tanks in combat because, especially in zero gravity environments, tanks can't really correct themselves while floating, while also, if you push over a tank, it can't really correct itself. Maneuverability and convenience makes a duster incredibly useful, and it just looks like they are built purposefully, like they are made to be incredibly convenient. The arms are long, the legs are very, very sturdy, and because of that, they just look like they would be like this if we had actual mechs in real life. The speed and use of a duster makes the entire flow of combat so much easier for the people who have one, or hell too, if you're one of those guys. I am one of those guys. The use of large-scale weapons and the flow of the game makes dusters insanely cool in lore. If you have ever played Titanfall 2 multiplayer, yeah, it's a lot like that, which is insane and terrifying. BLKOUT is one of those games that I find so endearing because of how it plays, lining up with a lot of how the interactions in lore would go. I have memories of playing with friends who, you know, when we were figuring out what the best way to balance the game was, I was like, oh, you could use a duster, and I could counterbalance that by using a dune buggy car that allows me to carry guys in an extra unit, which of course I added Scrap King to my list. The game went smoothly with me ducking and weaving my Impeasy, which, if you don't know about the Impeasy, they are the lightly armored kind of horde faction that focuses around being just evil. Not in a morality sense, I mind you, more in just, if you don't feel like you're cheating, you're not playing them right. They also have Scrap King. He's equipped with a gun that kills people. It's pretty great. Basically, the whole game, I was avoiding fire and driving my dune buggy around the game board, dropping off and picking up troops to get to key objectives. Then comes in a Mattis duster my buddy has, and man, to say what happened when that thing charged into what was essentially a Ford pickup truck didn't put fear into me, the likes of which I would scarcely call biblical, would be a lie. The game's balanced around if you bring a duster, your opponent must also bring a duster because there are few things that are capable of dealing with them. It's never easy if you do. Like, I have guys, I play a lot of factions that have access to missile launchers, high explosives, so on and so forth. Like, to give you an idea of what it feels like to try and deal with a duster when you don't have one, like on a functional level, it's like if I gave you a pine cone, like a big pine cone that was dried up, and then told you have a half hour to eat this. Yeah, it's not impossible when you think about it, but when you actually get down to do it, you realize this is not really a fun task, nor is there an amount of chewing that is going to help you. It's just going to be unfun. Dusters are widespread on Able, and new patterns are often coveted to the point of fighting and dying to try and steal them. A lot of the time, from the forces of Chimera. They go on raids in order to steal as many different new pieces of tech as possible. I do want to touch upon these fellas because Chimera is a faction that I don't think people know enough about, even the people that play the game. One of the most popular factions in BLKOUT is Manticore, and they look awesome, and which is why people like them so much. Basically augmented super soldiers who are a part of a cult that worships the idea of transhumanism. They believe that to enter the next stage of humanity, you gotta cast off the shackles of the meat suit and realize that we are surprisingly modular. Not so much we need to become machines, but we need to improve humans with machines. Manticore is the deniable asset mercenary group used by Chimera. Chimera is basically the metaphorical priests of this creed, believing wholeheartedly that war is the way to harden the spirits of men. They have this ascent with modification policy, where you build onto what succeeds and you cast off what fails. Chimera is known to raid other factions in the setting in order to gain better tech. Though, don't think they are evil. They are far from it. It is simply just a different belief system, and especially in the far-flung future of Able, where living there is not exactly easy, why not replace your lungs with a V8 engine so that you can just, I don't know, to breathe faster? They believe that humanity can basically be better if we modify ourselves to survive against anything. If you believe in transhumanism, you probably would think that they're pretty cool and onto something. Chimera and dusters go together like peanut butter and jelly. If it was war crimes and large machines that allow you to commit war crimes, even better. But also, why do I bring them up? Because my lads, the folks at BLKOUT have a new 2-player starter set in Conquest that you can actually buy right now. Prior to this, there was a 2-player battle set that you can still get, to my knowledge. That was Task Force Boone versus the UN 3rd Battalion. But now, literally just released, you can pick up a new set with tokens, rulebooks, and 2 full teams you can play with. If you like big stompy robots, you should buy a duster or 2 so that you and your buddy can play it, because it comes with Chimera Troopers with their new set, and then you get to deal with whoever they're fighting up against. And who are they fighting against? The Harlow Special Activities Division. I know this has nothing to do with robots, but I always cycle my favorite faction between several, but my runner-up is almost always Harlow, because to bring it back to the Titanfall discussion that inevitably comes to BLKOUT, you know how in Titanfall you play the big stompy robot and smash people together? Great fun, right? Well, there is also the other half of the game that no one talks about that they augmented and kind of just skinwalker stole in order to make Apex Legends, and that's the high-speed run and gun with the super mobile runny dudes who can move across the map in less than 5 seconds and ram an RPG down the throat of whatever Titan they see with a disconcerting level of ease. Yeah, that's how Harlow plays. They are one of the fastest and most setup-oriented playstyles in the game, setting up for one big explosive turn that involves them clearing a disconcerting amount of space on the board before jumping into the fray. With their special activities division, which is in the set fighting the Chimera guys, you're going to see some pretty unique specialists on the board who are equipped to deal with, well, the Chimera guys as well as whatever weird thing you possibly could imagine. As I mentioned, this video was sponsored by the BLKOUT crew, and I could not be happier, but I'm not just going to go out and say buy this without an incentive. If you use code Mr. Bones at checkout, you get 10% off the whole order, and it would be helping out an independent company that I really believe in, but also they are currently doing a campaign where 10% of their profits are going to be donated to Mission 22, which is a charity that helps out veterans with depression. It is a very noble charity, and as someone who has a military family myself, I do believe in something like this. So not only would you be helping out me, helping out the BLKOUT crew to know that you guys like the stuff, but you'd be doing the moral good of helping out the veterans, which I think is pretty cool. Them sponsoring the video aside, I do mean it. This isn't just me being a YouTuber auctioning off my mouth to the highest bidder. That was way grosser than I wanted it to be, but whatever. The dusters of BLKOUT are probably my favorite mecha in wargaming. It's the practicality, the military look of them, and just how cool they are. They don't have many, but what they have is genuinely the most inspiring roster out there. And once they add more, I will be shouting that out to the high heavens. So thanks to the folks at BLKOUT for sponsoring this video, allowing me to talk about a game I love and the robots I get to smash into people. Let me know in the comments what your favorite big robots in wargaming are, as well as remember, I do have the giveaway with Fenris Workshop going on, so make sure to let me know what your favorite big stompy robot is, and you'll be entered in for a prize draw. But yeah, so special thanks to my channel members as well for supporting me. With your help, I can get this video done, afford to gamble on weirder video ideas, and also just pay my editor so we both get to eat and survive in these turbulent times. You're all lovely, and I couldn't do this without you. So thank you all once again for watching. Until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful night.